Our next session is going to change it up a little bit into a panel format to showcase multiple perspectives on the business, the startup sales cycle. And it is my pleasure to introduce Tohar Meshulam, partner at EY Israel, who will moderate this panel. Thanks.
Making myself comfortable. Hi, everyone. Thank you for sticking up. I want to thank you for joining us here today to discuss how defense tech companies navigate the struggles and the challenges of their industry. I'm Tohar Meshulam, partner at EY, specializing in tech, and I'll be moderating this panel. I want to introduce you to our amazing panelists today. We have here Alon, partner at XTEND. Ayal Somech, head of growth and innovation at Boeing Israel. Asaf Picciotto, CEO at Spectralx. And Aviv Shapira, co-founder and CEO at XTEND.
The startup wears a jacket, the corporate almost in a t-shirt, but okay.
We can't allow ourselves to be casual.
This is how it is.
Okay, so we're fortunate enough to have this distinguished lineup here today. So I guess we should just dive in. As we all know, guys, the defense industry operates differently from most commercial markets we're familiar with in tech. Let's start with one of the core challenges mainly startups are struggling, which is finding the right contacts in the B2G space. Unlike traditional commercial markets, I think that this industry operates under its own set of rules sometimes, and finding the right decision maker or the right contacts in this field can be a maze sometimes. I want to take it from a different angle this time. Alon, from an investor perspective, what do you look for in a company's ability to navigate in this ecosystem when you're considering an investment?
So we first look at whether there's demand for the technology or the product, and especially whether there's demand beyond Israel. We see a lot of the entrepreneurs validating ideas here in Israel and not checking the potential outside. And in our front, we need global success in order for us to succeed with the investments. And the validation is used by us for two reasons. One is to make sure that there is a demand, and the second one is to make sure that the entrepreneur is able to get into the right people and to verify this demand. So it's not just the theoretical question of whether there is a demand, it's a question of whether this specific team can access the prospect customers.
Asaf, Aviv, from founder's perspective, what's your experience been like in trying to connect with the right, let's say, government partners? What strategies you find more effective in order to get these crucial meetings to happen?
So one thing that is very that characterizes this industry is that it's about people-to-people relationships, as opposed to software companies where you sell over the internet, over the cloud. You have to actually create that trust with your customers. And that is something which requires face-to-face meetings. So, the companies here, or me and Asaf, for example, we had to run a company through Corona. So how do we sell to customers abroad using Zoom? That didn't really work as much as we wanted. So actually, both of us did something pretty straightforward, which is hire local people in the relevant countries. So we both have a U.S. company that is catering the U.S. markets. I also have a company in Singapore, and they actually work with the right culture, the right mimics, the right small talks. If it's in the U.S., they talk about baseball or whatever sports. And that creates that, that personal relationship, which later on translates into contracts.
Hopefully.
I want to add to what Aviv just said, that discussing market fit, sometimes we take what we know or understand with the local market, which is IDF, and sometimes take it as a fact that every other place in the world has the same needs and requirements, which is not always the situation. So I think that when you take what we know here and from the experience that the IDF has, and then kind of transmuted it through our local guys, that make it better fit to an actual requirement in that specific territory. So it's not as an obvious, let's say, way of thinking that, yeah, we see a need here, IDF has something that he wants, the US would have the same. It's not that simple.
Yeah, I guess that in this field you have to be also a salesman. It's not optional. It's a crucial quality, I guess. Okay, next. Let's talk about sales cycles. At EY, we see tens of companies in this space. The sales process is notorious for being long and complex, right? This brings unique challenges for startups that might not have enough resources in order to wait for years until a contract closes or until their innovation will get track. Asaf, how have you managed the long drawn-out, or still managing the long drawn-out sales cycles? Do you find it difficult to keep your team motivated along one sale?
So it's a process. It's a never-ending process, right? You said that everybody's a sales guy. Yeah, we have to be those guys in the field. My first step on U.S. soil, when trying to push my technology and products up there, I met with Raphael, very senior guy, really on my first day. And he said that, look, for me, Raphael, I have like 4 3-star generals in our team. We have backed millions of dollars in marketing efforts, and it takes me about 7 to 8 years to push a product to the US market. So I took that by heart and understood that, yes, it's a process. We have
7 years is
7 years, right?
yeah.
Long time.
What they call the valley of death is long.
Yeah, it's long and hard. So to push the company to have the motivation throughout the way, not just us, it's also the investor side and those guys. Everybody need to understand, yeah, it's a very long process, and I think that in order to make it, you need to be very, very passionate about that.
And I guess being also a pure defense company makes it even a bit harder than usual. Ayal, we will get to the collaboration with XTEND in a minute. How is Boeing adapting its procurement and partnership models to engage with the agile startups while still maintaining its established enterprise standards?
So let me start by, first of all, thanking everyone who stayed here in the conference room and for the hospitality for Tel Aviv University. Look, there is inherent tension between startups and corporates. They are not built for plug and play. And I don't want to bore the audience with everything that you probably all already know better than what I can explain to you, but I'll share my personal experience and we'll talk about a use case with Aviv in a few minutes. It's not easy, but it comes down to people. And in these large corporates where there are hundreds of thousands of employees, you must find the right champion that's going to be there and really believe in your idea, your startup, your business, whatever you're working on, and navigate you through the complexities of the corporate. The corporate is not designed to work as fast as a startup, and that is with very good reasons. Liability, adherence to a process, and any other type of external forces that corporate environment is bound to. While the startup can break all the rules and go faster and apologize later, we don't have that benefit. With that, Boeing specifically, 108-year-old company, we realize that we need to bring outside in to continue to not even innovate, but to exist and to have the disruptive technology that we want and need access to on our next platforms. So you have to find a way. You have to find a way to bring that outside in. And you're talking about individual people and champions and believers, but appreciate that the engineers or the people that you really need to talk with and convince are layered behind legal, behind corporate procurement, and they cannot speak with you until you have gone through all of these checklists. So what we're trying to do with positions such as myself is having these agents that are licensed in business development on behalf of the corporate, and we will navigate through all those complexities. We will take your hand and tell you, okay, come sign this form, now you can talk with this person. Come sign this form, now you can talk with that person. And we want to make sure that we're protecting both the corporate, but also the startup or whoever we're working with, so that we don't taint our engineers with information that will then later upset a startup if they see it on our product. So we walk through this very slowly to make sure that we're doing this in the most safe and appropriate way for both the startup and the corporate. I think let's go to the use case later. We'll save some storytelling for
the right time, I think. Now having Boeing collaborating with XTEND.
Before talking about our collaboration, maybe a few words about what we do. Try to make it short. So we've all seen how robots and drones affect current warfare. I'm sure most of you have seen racer drones flying in Ukraine, right, and hitting tanks and all of that. So behind the scenes, these are soldiers operating them. It takes them roughly between 1 to 3 months. They fly manually, these drones, very talented people. That's not really possible for scale. Armies like, IDF, for example, has like 70 or 80% reservists. They don't have time to train for 3 months to fly a race drone. So what we've done in the past 5 years is create a software operating system that allows any soldier to fly a swarm or a group or what we call a team of robots and drones very easily without any training needed in the most complex environments possible. So yes, race drones, loitering munitions is one let's call it solution, but also breaching buildings, countering drones, countering UAVs, inspecting buildings. These are kind of the missions that are saving lives on a daily basis. We worked very well with Mafat in the past 6 years. They've been great partners of ours, allowing us. It connects to the previous question: how do you pass this valley of death? Mm-hmm. So we had to raise money. It's funny, but we had to fund the different armies of the world using VC money. This is how it goes. But our partners here in Israel, Mafat, has been really helpful in that process. So specifically with Ayal, if we want to talk about this now, so once you have this robot, this drone, how do you actually deploy it as far as possible in the field without actually having a human next to it? So yes, our robots and drones can be operated from anywhere in the world, but they need to get there somehow. So maybe Ayal can elaborate more, as much as he can.
You see, this is the startups already stretching, and I have my approved talking points from corporate legal and communications and what can be said and not be said. Look, I think just welcoming Aviv's positive experience here, but he's leaving out 5 years worth of engagement. We first met over 5 years ago, and we said no thank you. We met again 4 years, we said no thank you. 3 years, no thank you. And he's still, he and other entrepreneurs in the audience are very persistent, and I love that about Israelis, that no is just no today, it doesn't mean it's no forever. So really shout out and props to Aviv for his persistence. Now, that's five years of past back and forth. Today we have a platform that is quoting our vice president for autonomy platforms. We build big metal aircrafts. We want to make sure they are enabled, smarter, have versatile capabilities. And we also have the responsibility of a little bit of imagination and storytelling. What can our customer expect and ask for? What do they want? And what do they think they want? And what do we think that we can offer them that may be surpassing what they want? And with Aviv and XTEND, there's an interesting use case where we have an autonomous platform that can travel very far. And what happens when it gets to its destination is another interesting use case for the customers. And I think with Aviv and companies like XTEND and others, we have really a plug-and-play opportunity here to bring some of these newer, agile defense tech startups that have something that is compact, lethal, at the edge, and give it the backbone and the weight of the Boeing company behind it. I'm hoping for Aviv that he does not find a valley of death with us, either a yes or a no quickly, or a POC quickly as possible, and to prove out his concept. But the idea here is really to try and lower the threshold for companies that have something that we want and need, but wouldn't normally meet the requirements of becoming a supplier to. There are very harsh restrictions and ISO certifications, and you name it. To become a supplier to an OEM such as Boeing, it's I don't wish that on my greatest enemies. It's really a very torturous journey. But we realized that we need to find a way to lower the thresholds to allow these startups to find their way into the Boeing company. And with some hand-holding, some funding, and some good relationships, we're trying to do our best to bring that in. So was that enough detail, Aviv, or are you going to say something I can't say?
I'm trying to take the juice out of it.
That was perfect. Now the XTEND talk is going to fly. No, I'm kidding. But a lot of you have seen Hollywood movies where drones fall from the skies and do a lot of crazy stuff. This is what we're doing in one sentence.
As the company that wasn't born pure defense, how is this collaboration or working with defense changed? How is it like, the sales cycle comparing to your usual sales at XTEND?
Sales cycles are long unless you are in a war. In the current conflict, we've experienced sales cycles of less than a week sometimes, where usually it's like a year and a half, 2 years, or like Asaf is saying 7 years or 8 years, which is a bit extreme, but this is what it is.
Or Sheva Matayim and getting immediate
urgent requirement needs. So we are experiencing. It's hard to say this, but good business times for defense companies. And you asked about so we weren't a defense company. We're still not a full defense company. We also have let's call it a non-defense business unit that deals with oil and gas inspection. And also we are an operating system for other robotic platforms, some famous yellow dogs. And I would say that it is a conflict within the company. How do you trade off between saving lives in Gaza, between doing delivery of drones? It's a conflict, a daily conflict they have.
Okay, so if we haven't raised enough challenges, let's discuss another one: product market fit. The defense market is unique in that the buyers, whether it's government partners or large defense contractors, may have very different requirements than other traditional commercial clients, so that finding the right product market fit is crucial, but it can be very elusive and tricky. Alon, how do you evaluate whether a startup has achieved a product market fit in this space? Are there any specific indicators that you find are critical for making that call?
This is indeed a very tough problem, and because in defense, in many cases, there are fewer deals. So, it's not ARR, and it's selling hardware, selling things that take a long time, and the long sales cycle. So it can be very misleading, because sometimes you're not closing deals, but you have a very strong pipeline, and you need to build the product market fit just on customer feedback and not actual POs. and it's very difficult, very hard to convince investors, to convince the board that you are on track, and also to convince to yourself, because customers are saying, yeah, we need this, we want this, but the PO is in the mail and it's not coming, and it takes years, and it is very misleading also with the customers that are working with you, and they are working against the bureaucracies, and they don't know when will the PO come out. Mm-hmm. And they say, yes, it's in progress, it's in procurement, it's, wait a little bit more, and you look back and it's 4 years since you got into this journey. So there's no really good way that I found to know when you have a product market fit, unless you have sudden success and you have a lot of POs. But in most cases, it's just a tedious process, and you have to believe in your product. And what we did at Tohar, we worked very closely in the local market, where you can work much faster than abroad. And we're hoping that the use cases are similar here and outside of Israel.
Asaf, what challenges have you encountered when trying to achieve this product market fit? How many times have you had to pivot your offering in order to better suit, let's say, government needs?
So although we are in a very slow market, which is controlled by big, very big.
Evil.
No, big. I would stick with big industry. Even so, the market has been changing. It's a slow change, but it's there. For us specific at Spectralx, we are developing a stealth technology for maritime vessels, aircrafts, and land systems. And we've been trying to get into the US market for the past 10 years or so, because we took what we knew from Israel and just thought that it's the same on the other side of the ocean. And it wasn't like this, because those guys were fighting villagers in Afghanistan for the past, 15 years or so. What happened in the last 5 years, and due to the conflict in Ukraine, they changed their mind. They see a different enemy now, and their requirements is a little bit different, or totally different that in my market than it was 10 years ago. So sometimes you need to wait for the right timing. Sometimes you have a technology that is too advanced to the market you're trying to get. For us, it was to have the technology ready, and then the market, luckily for us, got there. So now the requirements, as you said, the requirements are there. They need it. They talk about that. And we had to adjust to the specific needs that they now have, other than what we thought about 5 or 6 years ago.
Ayal, you want to give your 2 cents? Boeing has a long history of working with governments and defense contractors.
Yeah.
What advice would you give startups?
Well, first of all, I've seen very few startups start from, we have a pitch and an idea that we want to interest the Boeing company in, or quite frankly, any other corporate, and then poof, 1 week later, you're flying on an airplane. It just doesn't happen that way. Most of the startups that we work with, and I used to lead the venture team, the CVC for the Boeing company, so this was years. You're planning a horizon 2, 3, 5 kind of an intake process. And unless there's really an emergency and a market fit that really you fit exactly what we're looking for over here, but that's just pure luck. It doesn't matter how good you are or what you have, it's just luck. There's no sugarcoating that. But I'll go back to your question and start even before the corporate. Don't come and tell me what you have and what I need. Tell me what our customer wants and needs. We're in the business of selling to customers, and you can tell me something great about, or something constructive about one of my platforms and how you can make it better, but that's only this good? Tell me why someone will be willing to pay more and buy it from me afterwards. And I think that's something that the startups really need to remember, that they're not selling to a corporate. They're not selling to a partner. We are a partner, but we are then going to sell it together to someone else. Unless you have an exit strategy that you just want to end up at the corporate and that's it, but assuming that you want to keep that trajectory of growth, we need to work together on delivering something meaningful to a customer. And every startup I've spoken with always starts with, I have something that you need in the Boeing company. And I said, okay, we need it, but
You can't live without it.
who will pay for it? Who is going to then, after we work on it together, be willing to pay for it? So let's just start that question a little bit before. And we do a lot of service to the startups that we work with in our portfolio or that we're interested in investing in, to really show and tell. We'll take them to Air Force, Navy. We will work with DIU, SBIR programs, and try and insert and incept an idea. What if we gave you a drone that would fly this far, autonomously, electrically, land vertically, take off, and. And then when you hear or see a reciprocating, we want that. Now let's start talking, let's start designing a product and go and sell it together. But it's not just, I have something that you need to buy from me.
Yeah. Alon?
Just to comment that the large defense contractors, the corporates, usually they're not the good place to start at. It's better to have a customer, to have the demand directly, and then to come to the defense contractor with a customer, with a purchase order, with a clear use case, and then they can join you in. And usually, not to offend Ayal, is great, but usually they are not good at the first sale of a startup, or first to the market when there's something very new. They usually don't know how to sell, and you need to develop the sales motion yourself.
But sometimes you don't have a choice. So we have U.S. contracts where the contract is classified. So you have to find a prime. So we work with other primes in order to get those contracts. But you're right. I mean, I wouldn't start there if I was now starting a new company.
Anyone who has a purchase order, a real commercial offering, we just need to partner with you because you meet the customer demand and customer standards, and that's obviously an easier pitch, but I wish that on any startup working with defense, those are good problems to have, where you don't meet requirements of size of your business, nationality, maintenance, whatever full package you can offer, but you have something that they want, they just need to buy it from someone that has a US passport or has a substantial experience with that, that's a good problem to have.
To another subject. We touched it a bit, but let's touch more deeply on go-to-market strategy. Even after achieving the product market fit you wanted, executing a successful go-to-market strategy can be enormously difficult. I don't have to tell you guys. Alon, how do you assess the strength of a startup's go-to-market strategy in defense tech? Do you have key factors that you consider when you maybe help them shape this part of their business?
We invest in early stage, so most of the companies that come to us and where we look at the investments, they don't have this yet. But they do have signs of access to the market, and they have initial demand, and it is sometimes direct with the customers. But in many cases, it's indirect, using a local reseller or a local agent that is usually a person or a company that is already selling to this specific customer, similar things to what this company is now offering, the startup. And in my experience, this is in most cases, in most territories, this is the best way to reach the market. As Aviv mentioned as well, that using local people who speak the language and understand the exact requirements of the organization, and usually they also have the clearance to discuss the more sensitive parts of these agreements. But also, even in early stage, we have here in the audience several of the companies that we are working with. The ones who are able to find the way to the market, usually it's a very good sign. And as I mentioned earlier, to have a lot of interest here in Israel but not speaking with anyone outside of Israel or not knowing how to find a reseller or how to find an agent is usually not a good sign.
Back to the first challenge we've raised. Aviv, leading a dual-purpose
Actually, I wanted to answer
company.
this question. Yeah, go ahead.
You don't use this phrase?
No, I actually want to add something on what Alon said. One of the problems in this market is, so let's say you have this amazing product, it works, you sell it to the local IDF, to Mofat, Manhar, whatever, but then you're trying to sell it abroad. So we found, I'm not gonna, this is like breaking news, but we found that countries don't want to buy something from outside unless they can source it locally. That's a very big news for companies in defense. So that means if I'm, let's say if I want to say to Italy, then if Leonardo has this product or a similar product, they would buy it locally. So that's something that characterizes the go-to-market strategy for any companies that's in defense. It's a big challenge if you think about it. You know, what do you do? How do you actually sell? One of the solutions, Asaf, before you answer, is so yes, sell to the local market, sell to IDF, get that experience. We actually have a good name right now. You know, defense companies that help the current war have a good name outside. And the way to deal with that financially is through local Israeli VCs. So finally, we have some VCs in Israel that are now in defense tech. Me and Asaf grew in an environment where we had none really in the past 5-6 years. There's a VC fund, new VC fund called Protego Ventures. They're here in the crowd, and there are more coming. But I can highly recommend trying to source this fund locally before you grow outside of Israel.
Asaf?
I totally agree. I think that it's getting even more due to the war that we have now in Israel. We've seen some European partners that say that they want to buy not from here. So it's not just that, and I totally agree that it's better to go locally with a local guy that can make or even build the product. But today it's even further. They really want it to be in the U.S. In the U.S. it's even stronger. They have specific rules that they have to buy locally. So I would go that way.
Yeah, it sounds like you must stay agile, but in order to be agile, you need resources. So it's sometimes like a vicious cycle for startups, I guess.
I want to add,
yeah, sure.
with your permission, Tohar, I want to add the corporate angle on this cycle. Yes, they will always want to buy an indigenous offering and source locally. We have many startups in Israel that from day one are already registered in the U.S. as a Delaware company or any other country in the world that they wish to incorporate in. But don't forget that one of the incentives or one of the reasons they're also wanting to buy locally beyond offering that expertise to their ecosystem is also funding that they have available in their country, government support. And really the unlock here is to find a way for a win-win-win. I'll share for Boeing's perspective in Israel. And this is unfortunate, but war is good for business. And Israel has been an amazing partner and customer of the Boeing company. And we, in return, are trying to do our best to also come into Israel during this challenging year with extra investments, with funds that have been set aside to invest specifically in Israel. And obviously lockstep and in close collaboration with the Israeli government. So you will want to always go locally, but if you can find a creative way to access local funding, bring in an external partner that adds value, and tell a story that will enable that smaller player, it'll work, and that's exactly the model that we're trying to do right now.
Okay, so I guess we've spent like 30 minutes 30 minutes discussing on the difficulties and the challenges. We can spare like 5 minutes on optimism. So I would like to hear each one of your prediction on the, let's say, 5 years where this ecosystem is going. Ayal, let's start from you.
Okay. I'll start with Boeing, and then we'll kind of expand. But we are currently standing up, as part of these investments in Israel, 3 main activities and pillars. This has only begun this year. First one is SAF, Sustainable Aviation Fuel, partnership with Technion University on development of new synthetic ways of producing SAF. Next one is a aviation cybersecurity innovation center. So if anyone here is interested in cybersecurity and is wondering what does cybersecurity plus aerospace mean, or if you even have experience in that, even better, I'd love to get in touch and invite you into that closed tent. And the third leg is how can we not bring up AI? We're going to be doing some interesting work with a few AI companies here in Israel, also around aerospace use case, software, hardware, autonomy, and it's cool, and it's a buzzword to say defense tech, but we've been doing this for 108 years now already, so call it defense tech, call it whatever you want. If you have technology that's interesting in one of those fields in Israel specifically, we'd love to collaborate. So time capsule, 5 years, I hope that those 3 legs turn into full-blown R&D centers in Israel. But beyond that, the future vision that we're painting, flying taxis, your JFK to Manhattan kind of eVTOL taxis is something that you can do already. The technology is there. We're already flying with Whisk, one of our subsidiaries. And I just want to see these things come to fruition, the regulators to enable them. And I think we're going to see a lot more AI-enabled and AI-driven platforms that are going to shake up the way that we currently build, design, produce, and then fly these aircrafts. And it's really cool to see what's coming in.
Asaf?
So I think that looking forward, what's most important for me, it's actually this. I think that to have a strong Israeli local, let's say, community on the defense stack could help all of us move faster and better to other markets out of Israel. Aviv and me were struggling alone throughout the last, 10 years or so. And I think that today to have that could help other startups and companies to push forward.
Okay. Aviv?
We all of us lost too many people in the last year, more than a year. So my optimism is I can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel that less humans, more robots fighting the war. I'm one of these companies making sure that happens.
Asaf mentioned the community. Aviv and I, we started the companies roughly same time, and we built our own community of 2, and we consulted with each other and shared notes, and now there are many more. I think that the change in this industry is happening now. We saw this in the US in the past 6 or 7 years, and this is now here, and the money and the funds that are getting into this industry are changing the dynamics and allowing companies to both develop products as well as acquire and merge, and the dynamics in the market are different and are changing very rapidly.
We will stay tuned, I guess. Okay, we ran out of time. I want to thank you guys, first of all, for your valuable insights, and for you in the audience entering into the defense tech space. I hope today's conversation brought some actionable takeaways for you to help you overcome some of the challenges we've just discussed. Please feel free to approach any of our panelists after this panel. Keep this conversation going. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the summit.